Let's get more with Bloomberg News White House editor Jordan Fabian. Jordan, good to have you with us. Your story, among the most read in the last hour on the Bloomberg terminal, about Canadian Prime Minister announcing Monday that those new U.S. tariffs would be paused for 30 days after this call with President Donald Trump. What is the agreement that they seem to have come to?
It's basically an agreement to talk more. The Prime Minister said that the tariffs would be put on pause for 30 days while they discuss further issues on border security, which is the pretext that President Trump has used to threaten these tariffs. And he also announced some new steps that he said that Canada is taking to try and secure the border, appointing a new fentanyl czar, spending some more money to secure border checkpoints, sending 10,000 officers, et cetera. So, all stuff, all the type of moves that have already been kind of in motion, but sort of gives President Trump the ability to declare something of a victory here in the spat with Mexico and Canada.
I mean, what are we hearing in terms of kind of the mode of the president in terms of, getting what he wants and, kind of talking up tariffs? I mean, we kind of expected it from day one when he was in the White House. Didn't get that right away, but I've been counting down to it from late last week. Do we now then think that sometimes he's going to say things just to kind of get something he wants and ultimately isn't going to really change policy significantly? Are we starting to feel that way?
Well, there's a lot of confusion here, Carol, because
Okay.
Trump hasn't really said what he wants from these tariffs and whether he's actually willing to follow through. Are they a tool to rebalance U.S. trade relationships and collect more revenue for the U.S. government, or are they just this negotiating tool to get other nations to agree to his concessions on unrelated issues like immigration? So far, it appears to be the latter. He did this with Colombia, too, as well, you recall, last weekend, where he got them to back down the deportation flights. So far, he doesn't appear serious about his ability or his willingness to follow through on these tariffs. The markets were looking very bad this morning. He's a close stock market watcher, not so much of a leap of the imagination to say that could have weighed on his decision here. But we'll have to wait and see. It's only the third week of this administration.
Yeah.
His thoughts, his mood about this can change, but so far it's been very unpredictable, and that's what I think is helping keep these other nations on their toes.
I think one thing that's been challenging for folks to figure out is the Canada side of this. John Authers has a Bloomberg opinion column out. We spoke to him at the top of our program, and he made the point that many people have made, which is we don't see Canada as being a source of immigration or fentanyl coming over the border. So if that's the yardstick, or if that's the metric that they're going to use to determine how long tariffs are imposed, if they do end up getting imposed, then how do tariffs come off of that country? I know we're speaking a few hypotheticals here, especially given what we learned from Trudeau, but do you know what I'm saying?
Totally, Tim. And it is hypothetical because if you read the executive orders, there's no benchmarks that Mexico or Canada need to meet in order to get the tariffs lifted. It's sort of just whether this pleases in some nebulous way President Donald Trump. And so that makes it very difficult for them and for investors, anyone watching, to discern what's going to happen here. And as you rightly pointed out, Canada, much less of a source of migration and drug trafficking than Mexico. So I think it confused a lot of people. And all I can say is the pattern of behavior so far is that he's willing to walk right up to the line of imposing these tariffs on trading partners, but not going to cross that line so far. China may be a different story, but nations like Canada and Mexico, we're seeing that form together here.